All right, let's dive into one of the most profound, honestly, mind-bending questions you can even ask about yourself. One that connects biology, chemistry, and the entire cosmos.
So what is that question? It's actually pretty simple. How many atoms are you? Yeah, not cells, not even molecules. We're talking about the tiniest fundamental building blocks of, well, everything.
Okay, get ready for this. The answer? It's a number so huge it's almost impossible to really wrap your head around. That number you're looking at right there, that is 7 septillion. That's a 7 with 27 zeros after it. Just, wow. It's a number you'd expect to see in astronomy, but it's right there inside your own skin. So you're probably thinking, how on earth do we even arrive at a number that massive, right? I mean, how can scientists be sure? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down. It's this incredible journey from the stuff we can see and weigh to the invisible world of the atom. Okay, so to count something you can't even see, you need some pretty clever tools. And those tools come straight from the world of chemistry. So let's get into it. How do you count the uncountable? All right, first things first, we got to talk about a concept in chemistry called the mole. And the easiest way to think about it is like, a dozen. A dozen is always 12, right? Well, a mole is just a chemist's version of a dozen, but for a ridiculously huge number of atoms. It's the whole key. It's the bridge that connects the visible world to the invisible one. And what's the number in that chemist's dozen? It's something called Avogadro's constant. This is the magic number. It tells us that 1 mole of anything, whether it's carbon or oxygen or gold, always contains 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd particles. It's this universal code that lets us turn mass into a real countable number of atoms. So once you have those two ideas, the mole and Avogadro's number, this super complicated problem actually breaks down into 3 pretty simple steps. Step 1. You figure out how much a certain element weighs in the body, like all the carbon, for instance. Step 2, you convert that weight, that mass, into moles. And finally, step 3, you multiply that number of moles by Avogadro's constant, and bam, you've got your atom count. Okay, so we have the how. Now let's get personal and apply it to, well, you. Think of this next part as us uncovering your very own atomic recipe. And what's really amazing is that this recipe, it's actually way simpler than you might think. Get this, roughly 99% of your body's mass comes from just 4 elements. That's it, oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, and nitrogen. They're the big 4, the main ingredients that make you, you. Now, if we're looking at things by weight, by mass, oxygen is the undisputed champion. It makes up a whopping 65% of you. And the main reason for that is pretty simple. Your body is mostly water, right? H2O, and oxygen is the really heavy O part of that H2O. But, and this is where it gets really cool, this is the big aha moment. When we stop weighing the elements and start counting the individual atoms, the whole picture just flips on its head. Suddenly, teeny tiny little hydrogen atoms are everywhere. They make up about 62% of your total atom count. It's wild. And that right there is the central paradox of what you're made of. Oxygen gives you your weight, your mass. But because hydrogen atoms are so incredibly light, it takes an absolutely gigantic number of them to even make up that 10% of your mass we saw earlier. And because there are so many of them, they just vastly outnumber every other atom in your body. Let's look at the actual numbers, because this really drives it home. Just look at that top row for hydrogen. Out of the 7 septillion total atoms, over 4 septillion of them are just hydrogen. That's more than everything else combined. It really puts it into perspective, right? So much of you is just the H in all that H2O. So that 7 septillion number, it's a fantastic average, a great estimate for a standard person. But here's the thing, it's not the exact same number for every single one of us. Your personal count is unique. So let's talk about why it varies. A huge reason for the difference is your body composition. Think about it. Lean muscle is made of protein, which has a lot of nitrogen and oxygen atoms. But adipose tissue, fat, that's made of lipids, which are packed with carbon and hydrogen. So you could have 2 people who weigh the exact same, but they'd have different atomic counts based on their body fat percentage. Kind of cool, right? And it doesn't stop there. There are other things that change your count too. Of course, your total body weight makes a big difference, but so does your hydration level from day to day, your age, and even your own unique microbiome. all those trillions of bacteria living on and in you have their own atoms, and they're part of your total count. It means your atomic self is always changing, always in flux.
You know, this is about way more than just a big number. Realizing you're made of 7 septillion atoms, it connects you to the entire history of science, and honestly, to the universe itself. So let's zoom out a bit, from the tiny details to the biggest picture imaginable, from stardust to self.
I mean, think about the journey of this idea. It all started way back in ancient Greece, with the philosopher Democritus just proposing this idea of an atomos, an uncuttable particle. It was just a thought. It took more than 2,000 years for John Dalton to turn it into a real scientific theory. And now, today, we know the atom is this incredibly complex quantum system. What an amazing trip for one single idea. And this all leads to what is, for me, the most mind-blowing realization of all. Every single atom in your body, all 7 septillion of them, every piece of oxygen, every piece of carbon, was created in the fiery heart of a star that exploded billions of years ago. You are, and this is not a metaphor, you are literally made of stardust. And here's another wild thought. None of these atoms are permanently yours. They're just visitors. They're passing through. Your body is constantly replacing its cells, swapping out old atoms for new ones. The building blocks are temporary, but the pattern, the incredible organized pattern that is you, your personality, your memories, your consciousness, that somehow persists. Which brings us to this final, really beautiful way of looking at it. You're not just a collection of particles. You're a momentary, dazzling pattern, one that's woven together from 7 septillion threads that came from the cosmos. So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. If all your atoms, your physical building blocks, are constantly being replaced, then what is it exactly that makes you, you?